This is the Lumix GX80, and in this video I'm going to give you 7 reasons why I bought this specific camera instead of the Fujifilm X100VI or the X100 Mark VI. So this is not going to be a bashing video. This is not going to be, oh, Fuji is so bad. No, of course not, because I'm recording this on Fuji. But the first reason for me was design. This is a very small, pocketable camera. Kind of reminds me a bit of a rangefinder like the X100 series is. So that was one of the first reasons. Design, small, pocketable, nice little viewfinder on it. Sorry, I'm doing it again. Second part is the sensor and the mount. Yeah, this is a 16 MB sensor, micro four thirds. Now you're probably thinking micro four thirds, hold on, bad autofocus, bad. Well, yeah. When you go into continuous, sure, it's not that well. When you go into single, it's just the same as any kind of camera. It's got 49 autofocus points. So in that sense, yeah, sure, not perfect, but perfect enough for me. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of micro four thirds sensors. I think that they get a lot of unjust criticism here on YouTube, image quality wise. We'll get into that later. So the third one is the features of this camera. This was produced or released in 2016, so a good 8 years ago. Micro four thirds sensor, 16 MBs, more than enough for me. It's got 5-axis in-body stabilization, 5-axis, a 3-inch tilting screen, fantastic, which is also a touch screen. Hey, this was in 2016, Sony, 2016, Panasonic had this. Shoots 8 frames per second, got a built-in flash, weighs 426 grams with the battery included, so which is roughly just under a pound, which got no AA filter into it, which basically means is you get very sharp images with the time some moire. That's just purely some of the features we have here for photography. Reason number 4 is the image quality. I do believe that Lumix in general, or micro four thirds, whether it's Olympus or Lumix, gets a very negative reputation because of some of the autofocus issues. Any Fujifilm shooter will tell you that normally you shoot single as well with Fuji because it's nowhere near secure. But the image quality itself, especially when you use Panasonic's own film sims, yeah, they call it Vivid and Lomo, but especially Vivid and black and white, I absolutely love shooting with this camera in those two profiles. And you can still modify them. You can do with your tonal curve, you can basically modify your entire color rendering and settings. So personally for me, I absolutely love that. The image quality is stellar. Yeah, I normally here shoot on a 1:1, but you also have the choices to shoot 4:3, 3:2, 16:9, and then of course I choose 1:1. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it, and don't be fooled by a smaller sensor. In this case, you don't really notice. Yeah, you can't crop in that much. Which brings me to the 5th reason. Reason number 5 why I chose this camera is because of the video capabilities and specs. This camera is not only in-body stabilized, it also records 4K into 30 frames per second unlimited. So basically, after half an hour, the camera overwrites the file and creates a new one. You can shoot up to 60 frames a second in full HD. So I think this is great for travel and street and every day. Yeah, you do have a crop here of 1.1, which I think is manageable depending on what type of lens you have. You can kind of crops in. Which also brings me to the 6th point. This camera has an interchangeable lens mount, which one of my bigger pet peeves with specifically the X100 series is the lens on it. Yes, it renders nice image quality, but overall I don't find that lens that superb if I compare it to my Leica Q. I do like the form factor of the X100 series, but I do think that the Fujifilm XE series and X-T30 Mark II offer similar sizes at a higher price point though. Yeah, where you can have interchangeable lenses, and that's what I like here as well. You can have an interchangeable lens. I'm shooting with the 20mm f1.7. Lumix has a fantastic budget range when it comes to lenses, and you can see an episode here. It's linked in the comments below. If you found this useful up until now, consider subscribing. Much more to come. And now, last but not least, and this is a big decision factor for me. Yes, I like the Micro Four Thirds mount. I like the fact that there's lenses. I like all the features. But now we go into used market prices. And this is where I really think that Micro Four Thirds at the moment provides you the best value for money. And the main reason for that is that this camera, guess how much this cost me? This cost me nearly mint condition, 262 euros. Now, given that is cheap, normally you pay about 300 to 325. But I was very lucky. The lens I have here, the 20mm, cost me 180. So I'm basically under 500 bucks. I have a fantastic camera here. And unlike Fujifilm, camera prices for Micro Four Thirds, Panasonic, are not even inflated. They're dirt cheap. And Panasonic made a lot of these types of cameras, small, pocketable cameras. So if I compare, for instance, the Fujifilm X100V, so the fourth iteration is still going for 1,000 bucks used. This is a quarter of the price and gives you similar specs and even, I would argue at times, a better shooting experience.